The sounds of Ryan Kilgore, ladies and gentlemen.
Kilgore. Ryan Kilgore.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I absolutely do not want to follow that, I'll tell you. Tremendous. Welcome, everyone. This is the Atlanta Fibroid Center Spring Women's Health event. We do these from time to time. You might have seen us as the white pants events. Some of those, if you around long enough, we do these from a few a year, and we're so glad you came out because we know it's not easy, but at least we can gather now. It's really nice. I hope it lasts where we can actually come out and have fellowship, and there's so many people to thank. First off, I want to thank my wife, who was helpful in helping the organization. My practice administrator, Monique Duke, is here. My colleague, Dr. Mitch Ermentrout. We have staff members outside. If you checked in, those lovely ladies were my staff, and we just have a wonderful staff at Atlanta Fibroid Center. We want to thank Ronnie. I mean, Ronnie was so amazing. Hot Atlanta with PR, wherever she is. I don't see her, but she's running around somewhere. And her staff, Daniel Fowler, doing a lot of the photography and videography. We thank you so much. We want to get to the meat of the program, but first you got to have an MC, and I am not the MC. There is an MC in the crowd, and many of you know her, so I mean, I don't even know how to, I even asked her, how do I introduce you? I've known her for such a long time.
Some of them don't know me, Dr. Lipman. You don't have to go through all of that.
She is radio personality, TV personality. I learned a few things. Comedian.
No, Dr.
I mean,
Lipman.
I knew you had a sense of humor, but comedian, actor.
They don't know
I mean,
all of that.
What don't you do?
I've been on Channel Zero. They don't know that.
Channel Zero. Come on. So humble. Please put your hands together for our MC for the evening, Joy Tribble.
Well, well, well. You see, I'm walking slow. This is the first time I pulled these red bottoms out the closet. So y'all gonna have to bear with me. If I am on my Bambi legs, y'all know when Bambi got to walk and Bambi was hesitating and everything. It is my honor and my pleasure to be before you this evening. Again, my name is Joy Tribble, and I will be your event concierge. And I will take you through tonight's events as we go and talk about things that matter to women. Is that okay? Wonderful. So we are going to start off with a few housekeeping items. If you have not yet figured out where the restrooms are, restrooms. You see that on the door? So through the door and to the left is where you can relieve yourself there. Also, we want to make sure that as you're taking pictures, as you're getting to know everybody, and you want to post on social media, make sure you hashtag our hashtags. They are the Atlanta Fibroid Center and also Don't Lose Your You. So it's don't lose your, you are the letter U. Because we don't want you to lose yourself, right? But all of us as women have a uterus, yes? So y'all gonna talk back to me. Okay, so don't lose your you, right? So we don't want you to lose your you. And that's what the important initiative is that we are having here tonight with Dr. Lipman in our spring initiative. So what are our hashtags, ladies and gentlemen? Atlanta Fibroid Center. And don't lose, you look at the homework y'all doing. I'm all about it. Okay, so and our social media is Dr._Lipman on Instagram. And on YouTube for very informative information and videos. We're also on YouTube at the Atlanta Fibroid Center. Is that okay? All right, housekeeping done. So let's talk about tonight. And I got my little cheat sheet here. Again, I'm on my little Bambi legs, but y'all just hold me down. Look, Porsha, if I fall, thank you, girl. Okay. All right, so it's important, right, as women, for us to take a moment, right, and to Selah. Y'all church-going folks? Y'all know what the word Selah means? What does that mean? Pause, rest, right, reflect, right? And so tonight, we want to make sure, if you haven't, to take a moment to pause, connect, to network with your fellow sisters. So if you have not yet met somebody in here, guess what? 15 seconds, meet somebody, get their name, go now. Do, 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 do. Y'all ready? Do, 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 do. Okay! Clap, give yourselves a round of applause. All right. This table right here, I'm gonna put you on this spot. Who did you meet? Who? Okay, go ahead. Okay. Look at you, table number 5. I don't even know if that's your number, but y'all did good. All right, this table right here, black hat. Yeah, you got in trouble because you moved. See what happened in school? Okay, who did you meet? Who did you meet? You doing your homework now? You blew it. You did not understand the assignment. This table right here, right in front. Who did you meet? Lord. Okay. And Jane. All right. And who else? And Andrea. And our fellow gentleman. What's your name? Perrin, like Karen. Oh, for the men. Perrin, like Karen, for the men. Okay, good. So this is what's important, right? Because I know we are, a lot of people think that we're no longer in COVID. We're still in COVID, kind of, right? And so we just haven't had an opportunity to really connect with people outside of our families, right? So these events are always good to connect, to chat, and just to meet somebody new, right? To break the monotony of just some of the same old things that we're doing, right? So it's always fun to just get to know somebody, and you might walk away with a new friend, a new colleague, or a new business associate, right? Right. Okay, so we got our hashtags, we did our social media, we did our housekeeping, we connected and we supported everyone. What I also want to do, because I don't want to forget this, did y'all get a little libation tonight? A little something to wet your whistle? Oh, Holy Ghost. You know that devil, we're going to fight him tonight. He not going to start no more beating on devil. Okay, was that you? Did you do that? Okay, you look guilty, though. You sure do. You look guilty. So if you were able to have an opportunity to try out the beautiful woman in the back, she is, yes, show her some love. She is from I like to call it our sister city, Charlotte, North Carolina, because they like to be like their big sister, Atlanta, Georgia sometime, But that's all love. I mean that in the best way. But she is hailing all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. She is Ebony Wines and Spirits. Did I get that right? Perfectly. And your name is Camilla Mendoza Masunda. Y'all give her a round of applause. So Camilla has a white, correct? Show me, okay. She has a red. Is it good? You a lush. You drink a little bit on the just on the weekends, right? So you have your white, you have your red. Do you have a dessert wine? Okay, so Camilla, pour me a little something, but in a white paper cup. I ain't that bougie. Just give me a little something, a little bit, girl. That's all I need. But we want to thank you for coming all this way to support this initiative, to be with us here in Atlanta. So y'all show her some more love all the way from North Carolina. All right, did y'all get a piece of a little 3-piece little situation right here. Y'all, this is Ryan Kilgore. He gets down to the ground. And y'all have since warmed up, okay? Because I was going to get y'all earlier. When he was talking to y'all, I said, ooh, they bougie? Honey, they don't want to give this man no love. But I got something for him when I stand up there, because they going to talk back to me. They was nipping on the little mushroom tarts. We don't eat that. We eat chicken wings and tater tots. I said, oh, the people done got bougie. Palates are new and fresh, you know. But yeah, Ryan Kilgore, this is my brother. I have known him for a while. You always represent, sir. Y'all show some love for Ryan Kilgore. So I think it's time for the man of the hour to come on up. And so, again, we are here to discuss important things that affect women. And one of these things are fibroids. And unfortunately, fibroids affect the African American community on a far higher level than they do anybody else. And we don't understand the statistics as to why that happens, but what we do have is somebody that can escort us and help us better understand what is going on with us when we happen to get the notice from our doctor that we've been diagnosed with fibroids. So ladies and gentlemen, again, Dr. John Lipman.
Thanks very much. If you'll put up the I have one slide. This is not going to be a health fibroid talk. I can talk for hours on fibroids, I assure you, but I just wanted to put it was supposed to be a top 10, I went 11, but just to understand what we're talking about, because there are some people that may not know what a fibroid is. It's the most common pelvic tumor seen in women. 80% of African American women have these benign tumors. So it's extremely common in women, but particularly women of color. It's the #1 reason why women undergo hysterectomy in this country. And that may be surprising. It's the second most common surgery we do in the United States. And half the population, I know my office staff that's here think I have a uterus, I can tell you I don't. Half the population doesn't have a uterus, and yet it's the second most common surgery that we perform in the United States. And fibroids are the #1 reason. If you have cancer of the uterus, obviously hysterectomy is appropriate. But fibroids, as I said, are benign tumors. Why in the world are we essentially amputating women, particularly women of color, for benign disease? It's kind of blocked here, but if you look racially at who gets hysterectomy, Caucasian women get hysterectomy for cancer. That's appropriate. But African American women, as I say, get hysterectomy for benign disease. Why? We need to question this. We got to stop this. And hopefully the information that we provide tonight and the people that you'll meet and talk to will give you some sense of what's going on with this condition, what they go through. The average age of hysterectomy in this country is less than 40. And I gave a talk at Tuskegee not long ago. I met 3 women who came up after my talk. They were in tears. They were less than 30, and they all had hysterectomies. None of them wanted hysterectomy, but that was the only option they were given. And so now these young women never will have children. They're basically much older women, because when you lose your uterus, you lose a lot of things. And it's really tragic, and we got to stop that. I hear every day in the office, pretty much every day, a woman telling me, well, my gynecologist said if I'm done having children or I'm not interested in having children, I don't need my uterus. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Undergoing hysterectomy affects women. It affects them psychologically. Some, like a man being castrated, they lose their womb, their essence. When we say hashtag don't lose your U, some women lose their YOU. We don't want them losing any U's. Sexual dysfunction, that's really embarrassing. And this is a topic that people don't want to talk about, but it's real. You can Google it. Loss of libido, loss of orgasm. Urinary leaking. Next time that you're in a Walgreens, CVS, Kroger, Publix, go to the aisle where they sell adult diapers. What you should see is one of my parents. They're both in their 90s. That's what I think about who should be wearing adult diapers. What you will see, most likely, is an attractive young African-American woman. Why? Because that's the target. That's the target for people to wear adult diapers. In fact, I have a thing in my office. It's an advertisement for Depends. It's a very attractive, thin, 35 to 40-year-old African-American woman, and she's scooching on her skinny jeans over her adult diaper. And it says something cute like, they'll never know, or something like what? What in the world? I want to know why she needs to wear a diaper. I mean, it's crazy. That's why they've had a hysterectomy. So that leads to fact number 7, which is probably the most important thing of the entire evening. If you're suffering with fibroids, no matter what your gynecologist tells you, you don't need to get a hysterectomy. It's an option, but it should be the option of absolute last resort. UFE, the procedure that we do at the Atlanta Fibroid Center, it stands for Uterine Fibroid Embolization, is one of the biggest medical breakthroughs for women. We've been doing it for 25 years now, but most women never hear about it. And it's sad, it's really tragic, because it's a tremendous procedure. Patients go home the same day with a Band-Aid. And we're going to hear from some people that had the procedure that can tell you firsthand what they went through and what the procedure entails. It provides the relief. It treats every single fibroid, no matter how big, no matter how many. All the symptoms get treated: the heavy periods, the pelvic pain, the urinary frequency, and importantly, as Jamie Dukes of the Falcons told me, Doc, just tell them, keep your stuff. You can keep your stuff. UFE allows for the opportunity of childbearing. You'll hear, oh, if you're interested in UFE, you can't have kids. No, that's not true. We've had numerous children born after UFE. I've had multiple sets of twins, and our births are typically full term and vaginal, whereas if you have the surgical alternative myomectomy, you're going to get more surgery. They ain't letting you have a vaginal birth. C-section, which is the #1 surgical procedure that we do in the United States. If you were wondering, #2 is hysterectomy, #1 is C-section. And lastly, we have the largest experience in the country in doing this UFE procedure. We did the first here in Georgia, and we've done more than anyone in the country. So this is an area of expertise, and just like anything else, the expertise matters, because you can get UFE at any of the larger hospitals in Atlanta, but Dr. Ermentrout and I are the most experienced, and it makes a difference. And we'd be happy to talk to you afterwards about it. And so I'm going to bring back our MC to continue with the program, but I just wanted to give you just kind of a glimpse of kind of just the simple facts about fibroids. And now we're going to kind of hear from people that actually lived it. So much more meaningful. I mean, I can talk about fibroids for a long time, but someone who's actually lived it, it's way more meaningful. So with that, I'm going to bring back Joy.
I'm glad to be back. So before we bring up our folks to have testimonials, I'm going to see by a show of hands, how many women know somebody with fibroids? Wow. Okay, leave your hand up if you are the woman that is the woman who suffered from fibroids. Wow. A lot of you didn't see what I saw, but about 90% of the women in here at least know somebody, or they're the woman that has suffered. And sometimes, and you know what? I should have raised my hand, because I too have fibroids. Dr. Lipman performed my UFE. And what I discovered is that I felt so alone. I didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't understand why what I thought was a flat stomach started to look like I was carrying a
6-month baby. So that started to affect my vanity a little bit because my size 12 jeans was now a 16. And that annoyed me at Old Navy because that was back then when they didn't carry stuff for the plus size girls. So I don't know if you felt the same way, but I felt alone because I wasn't sure what was happening to me and how this could be rectified, or if this was something terminal. So I don't know about you, but everything ran through my mind because I was petrified as to what a fibroid was, let alone did I know what the word benign mean at the time. So that scared me even more. So the Bible that I read says we're overcome by the word of our what? Testimony. So right now we're gonna have people that can share in that testimony. So if you've ever felt alone, know somebody that feels alone, we're gonna see how alike we really are. So is Jenny Miller here? Jill Miller, are you here? Come on up, pretty lady. Y'all come on and give Jill a round of applause. Girl, I called you Jenny. I didn't mean to do that, girl. Come on and bring yourself up here and just chat with us just briefly about your story, your testimonial, and what you experienced when you suffered through fibroids. You can grab that mic.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I am Jill Miller, proud owner of Jill Miller Fitness Studio. So you can only imagine being an instructor, a trainer, a personal trainer, and a school teacher at that time to be bleeding a lot. I mean, 2 to 3 weeks with a period is not fun, is it, ladies? So I suffered for a very long time. I was blessed to be, I was asked to do a fitness expo in the Centennial Park. So guys, I'm setting up my table, getting ready to go on, and I look over and I remember it as just like it was yesterday, and I remember seeing a pink tablecloth that said "got fibroids," and it was an exclamation point, and I was like, hell yeah, that's me. So I'm like, oh my God, let me hear him set up my station and see what this is all about, because I had already had the biopsy, the myomectomy. And so you can only imagine going through the myomectomy only to hear that you still have fibroids. They couldn't get it all, so that was a horrible doctor's report. So I was like, okay, God, maybe this is another solution. Maybe this is something I can try, you know? So I saw the table, and I went over and I begged, like, can y'all please get me an appointment? I want to hear more about it. And then I prayed, and I asked God to please let me be a candidate for the procedure, and I was. So Dr. Lipman gave me like my life back. I'm able to wear white again, right? Yeah, because if you suffer, you know what I'm talking about. It's a testimony to be able to get through on the other side. So yeah, that's pretty much my story. So
you can wear white
restored
again.
me.
Yeah.
So I'm able to reset, renew.
Yeah, good.
And be able to share my story with my clients and the people in the community that I serve.
Very good.
Yes, that there's another option. You don't have to have your uterus taken or a hysterectomy or a partial. You know, see Dr. Lipman and his team.
Or be embarrassed.
Or be embarrassed. Or you're at the chalkboard teaching and you're praying and hoping you don't have some red in the back of your pants.
Because that's emotionally traumatic. Hello?
Very traumatic.
Oh, yeah. All right.
To always keep a second set of clothes, you know, on your job or wherever you are.
It's traumatic.
It was toiling,
yeah,
yes.
It's traumatic, for sure.
So thank you again, Dr. Lipman. God bless you.
Thank you, Jill.
Okay, thank you.
Have a seat, please. Keep the mic. Yeah, have a seat.
Oh.
You on stage tonight, boo.
Oh, my
Is there a Jenny Raymond? Jenny Raymond. Over here. Come on up. Y'all show some love from Miss Jenny Raymond. Put a little pep in your step, Miss Raymond. Well, you cute and everything, girl, but come on.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I wasn't prepared. I'm just going to start my story by saying that Dr. Lipman, I can honestly say you probably saved my life because I was on my deathbed. I found out that I had fibroids when I was about 26, and I, at the time, had no clue what that meant. So, you know, I just kind of went along with, okay, well, am I going to die? And when I initially went to the gynecologist to kind of find out what my options were, of course, it was, you got to get a hysterectomy. Of course, me, at a very young age, not knowing what none of that stuff was, I was like, okay, well, that doesn't sound right. I don't have any children, so let me ask somebody else. So I went to another doctor, and they offered a myomectomy. And I was like, okay. They stated that I could have kids after I have the procedure, so it sounded fair. It was like, okay, I can have children, I'll do it. So what I noticed that after I did have the procedure, a few years later, I had my daughter, but the fibroids came back. So I then consulted with another doctor who, again, offered another hysterectomy. At that time, I'm talking about my anemia was, I was like my blood count was like a 3. I almost died. Like, I literally had to drag myself to the hospital. The doctors were like, oh, we don't even know how you're alive. It was gushing everywhere. I couldn't go out, couldn't do any physical activity for months. So finally, when I found Dr. Lipman, he kind of promised, I promise you, you're not going to need to take any iron supplements. At the time, I'm like, yeah, right. Because I've been taking iron supplements for over a year. And so we did the uterine fibroidembolization, and within 6 months, I could honestly say that I got my life back. I was able to go out, I was able to get back in the gym, light flow, just regular, no iron supplements. I'm talking about I haven't taken an iron pill since I had that procedure. So, yeah. Thank you.
There's something about when we say getting our life back. I don't know if you know what it's like to have low iron, but that is not a joke. For her to say that her blood level was at a 3, when I went to my gynecologist, she told me mine was at a 7.1. And she looked at me and she said, you better be glad I'm not sending you to the hematologist now. So I was a little startled at 7.1, but to hear a 3, it affects every part of your life. So to be able to find a solution in UFE, it is just so refreshing. And so I want Shay Hope to come up and tell us a little bit about her story and why she was able to, have her moment, find Calvary and Dr. Lipman, and tell us, a little bit about, where you are and how things are going with you now.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight? So I was diagnosed with fibroids in 2018. And to be perfectly honest, I had no idea what they were. I had never heard of them. My mom never talked about it with me. My grandmother, my aunts, none of my girlfriends were talking about it. And I was seriously like, what's going on? All I knew is that, I was starting to bulge in my abdomen. My cycle was longer. It went from like 3 days to 5 or 6 days. The blood was very heavy, and yes, my iron was getting low. So fortunately, my OBGYN talked to me about options, and she didn't mention anything about a hysterectomy, thank goodness. And she listed all the different options to me, and the thing that made the most sense for me, because I was like, I might still want to have a child, maybe, possibly, was the UFE. So I did my research and was looking at different doctors in the area, and one of my girlfriends mentioned Dr. Lipman. And so I was like, okay, all right, check this out. And she actually went through the entire consultation with him, didn't get the procedure because she had something else going on, but she really liked the office. I can attest to the staff, they're phenomenal. Everyone in there is great. And when I went for my consultation, Dr. Lipman made me feel very at ease. And I had the procedure in 2020, literally right before COVID hit hard in the US. So, I can't speak more highly about my whole interaction with them. It was very easy. The fact that I didn't have to go under anesthesia, I was like, oh, that's a plus, because surgery and me just don't mix. And and even the recovery period, it didn't take long at all. I was on my feet and back to work. Well, it could have taken 2 weeks, but I told them a little longer. But I was back pretty quick, and then I started having these conversations with my family members, my girlfriends, and I was shocked at how many of my family members, how many of my girlfriends were like, oh my gosh, yeah, my periods are so heavy too. And oh yeah, and I'm bloated too now. And my sister also ended up getting the procedure not too long ago. And and she asked me about my, how I dealt with, Dr. Lipman, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely recommend going to see Dr. Lipman for the UFE. So she did the same thing. And so now I talk about it freely with everybody and have those types of conversations, because I don't think we talk about it enough as women, and we really should, because it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Wonderful. Thank you. I want you to have a seat. So Dr. Lipman is going to come on back because we need to expound a bit more, on what it means to have fibroids, what it means to be able to have an alternative procedure to the things that we're so often told to get, which is a hysterectomy. And we want to try to figure out other ways to make that happen. So Dr. Lipman, take us to the next part.
Well, you brought up a number of really important points about the struggle. I mean, the hemoglobin of 3, just to put that in perspective, the normal hemoglobin is around 12. And so they won't even operate on you if your hemoglobin usually less than 10, because they know by the time they draw the hemoglobin, you're going to continue to bleed, and 8 is really the cutoff. That's the drop dead cutoff. So 7 is, gets their attention. They're not going to operate on you with a 7. A 3, I mean, that is like, say, barely alive hum. And so that was really serious. And we don't transfuse anyone. We don't have to. We see a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that don't accept blood products. The UFE procedure is entirely without any blood loss whatsoever. So that's really important. The mental aspect is really important. You mentioned about, there's the physical side of it, the bleeding, the horrible bleeding, the anemia, that you're tired, you're weak, you're fatigued. But there is a significant mental aspect of it. The dread, it's coming. And oh my gosh, I got to go through this again. Everything you do revolves around this darn menstrual. Whether you go out, whether you work, whether you have relations, whether you see other people, you have to have extra pads and extra gear and extra clothing. It's just month after month after month. So there's a physical toll and there's also a mental toll. But if you know about UFE and you undergo UFE, as you've seen, it turns right around. You end those heavy crime scene, murder scene kind of periods that you hear about. Those come to an end. You bleed light and normally, and you can replace all that iron and hemoglobin that you've already lost. So you don't run a deficit anymore. All of a sudden now, instead of running on a half or a third or a tenth of a tank, you're back to full pool. And wow, it feels like this rocket boost of energy you haven't had. And it's the freedom of not being tied to this darn menstrual that's so liberating. And so it's so important to continue the conversations. And we want to bring up one very special person who's going to share her story. She needs absolutely no introduction. Radio, TV personality. You've seen her on Real Housewives of Atlanta for 10 years. Dish Nation, other things. Ladies and gentlemen, our star celebrity for the evening, Miss Porsha Williams.
Somebody pass Porsha a mic. Pass Porsha a mic.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, so first of all, girl, it is so good to see you.
Yes, thank you. Good to be seen.
And I think, right, rather than viewed, amen?
Yes.
Yes, amen.
And so it's always good, right, to see another sister, talk about what you're going through, what you suffered through, right? Because, you know, I'm gonna use it because it's relevant, but not in this context. But I like to always say when I talk to somebody and I find a commonality, I'm like, yeah, girl, me too, right? And so not only does it feel that way when you talk to a girlfriend, but let's be very honest. When we see somebody that we have seen on television, that we have seen, you know, in radio, and they travel the world and they've been given these monikers of celebrity and all of these things, and you're able to look at them and say, wow, she's going through the same thing I'm going through. It keeps a tangibility. It keeps a relevance to people that we sort of put on pedestals and see in the public eye, a public figure. So there's common ground with people, and sometimes we don't even know. So I'm just happy that you, Porsha, were free enough to want to share your story and to let other people see the face, right, of uterine fibroids, because a lot of us, or a face rather, not the face, but a face rather, where you too have gone through some challenges with uterine fibroids. So just take a moment to just kind of share with us your story.
First of all, thank you for having me tonight. Sorry.
It's okay.
There's a lot of cameras, but I got some kind of bad news tonight.
Okay. Okay.
But
Take a minute. Let's take a minute.
But I'll say this. Glad I'm in a room of women.
Yes, you are in a safe space. Can we let her know that she is our sister? She is in a safe space. And we're also going to take a quick moment. Everybody, real quick, close your eyes, touch your sister, and we're going to say, Father, right now, in the name of Jesus, we don't know what information Porsha has been given tonight, but Father, whatever it is, we know that you will hold her, Father, you will comfort her, you will protect her, you will surround her, you will give her whatever she needs to keep her strong with whatever this information is that she's been given tonight. We thank you that she is here. Gird her heart, gird her mind, Father, and give her whatever she needs. Bless her bones, bless her heart, Father, bless her mind, and keep her strong while she is here with us tonight. And as you take her through her journey, Father, just continue to bless her, cover her, and protect. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.
Yes. But you are safe. Know that.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for
Yes. Yes.
the moment of prayer. But first I want to thank Dr. Lipman for having me. But I don't know if I'm really wanting to necessarily go into the news, but it's concerning what we're talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. So again, you know, a lot of times in my life, things are just divinely set. Moments happen so organically, and they're destined to happen in such a way that, you know, we women, we are so strong. We have to deal with so much. We go through everything. And if you look back on your life like I can look back on mine, in these tough times or a moment like this, that it would be where I have to kind of push through. Yeah. It's just, I also have to thank God because it's profound that I'm in this space. Yeah. Receiving that news. And this is a space of women who have suffered the same thing I have suffered. Yes. You know, it just really this moment will push my advocacy for fibroids, for women, and advocate for them, to advocate for themselves in the space of healthcare when it comes to our bodies, and being in the know and demanding that our doctors prioritize what is best for us in the healthcare system. So for me, as tough as this moment is, I thank God for it. Yeah. I do thank God for it. And so my history with fibroids is a long one. So I did not find out I had fibroids until I was about 28 years old. Yeah, I was about 28, and so I was on a journey at that moment. My big old picture up there, Lord.
Girl, you look good.
Y'all know I'm still silly, but I was right, 28. You know, that year, that time when you're ready to have children. You know, and you never know anything is wrong with your body until something's wrong with your body,
That's right.
or you know what you call wrong with your body. But hell, as much as we know, fibroids could just be a part of our suffering that we get through in life. And we are blessed with doctors like Dr. Lipman to get us through.
That's right.
So I'm ready to have a baby, and I seek a fertility clinic. And, you know, I've been going to OBGYN, taking care of myself very well all my life. Never been on any type of birth control, because I always believe those type of things would give you something like a fibroid would, you know, mess with your body in some type of way. So I was very aware of my body and always got checked on every single year. So it was very alarming for me to find out that I had fibroids. And I actually didn't find them out until I had gotten pregnant. And so I had gotten pregnant, and we were excited because we were there saying we can't get pregnant. And when I went for my first appointment, I was pregnant. And so I was so excited, and then the doctor said, well, you know, you have a fibroid. And I was like, well, what is that exactly? You know, I was not familiar with it necessarily, which is crazy again, because here I am in my late 20s, had been to the doctor my whole life, and it had never been brought up to me as an African-American woman, knowing that we suffer the most. So anyway, they told me I had a fibroid, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean with the pregnancy? Because it's in the same space, right? It's in the uterus. And so they said, well, let's just watch it. One of them is pretty large. You know, let's just pay attention to it. I got to be almost about, I guess it was about 3 months. And at that point, I started having complications, and I started to just have like serious pain in my stomach. Like, I'm sorry if it's too long. You can cut me off. It's a long road.
No,
I'll
this
speed
is
it up.
perfect. No.
I'll speed it up.
It's fine.
So I started having like serious pains. And long story short on this one, I had gone to the doctor on and off. Each time they said, we hear a heartbeat. We don't hear a heartbeat. Back and forth, back and forth. So finally, my doctor said, you know, I'm going to send you to a fibroid specialist. And I'm like, well, okay, great. So I went, and mind you, this entire time, I am starving myself. I am on the craziest vegan diet you can even think of, because I am at that point trying to save my baby. I'm down to like 140 pounds, if that. And anyway, I got to the point where I ended up suffering a miscarriage, and it was because the fibroids outgrew the baby. And so here I am, a young woman who could have been told that I had these fibroids earlier on. They could have been dealt with, taken out, whatever, and I would have been able to have my child at that moment. But here I am suffering a miscarriage. Go on, get a myomectomy. We all know what that is too well. And I got the myomectomy, and after that I'm expecting, you know, I should be able to carry and everything will be great. I'll be fine. Went on to have more problems with fertility, and ended up getting pregnant, and the fibroids, of course, were still there. You know, they come back, those little suckers. They just grow. Yeah. They don't care, you know. There's like a window where you need to be getting pregnant when they, you know, are dormant there. But when you're pregnant, the hormones make them grow, so it's like a fight. So I'm pregnant, and little PJ, that's my daughter, her big old self, she just beat them out. That's right. But I suffered. I was like on bed rest and all this, but I'm like, come on, fight through, baby. Like, kick them balls like a tennis ball, or, you know, a dodgeball, baby. That's just duck it out, you know, get out of this uterus, because I want to have a baby. And anyway, she's my miracle baby. She made it through. She was my rainbow baby. And
y'all show some love for rainbow baby.
Rainbow baby. You know, but here's the thing with fibroids as time went on. You know, of course, I was blessed enough to be able to have my daughter Pilar, but they come back, you know. And I thought, you know, well, I don't really have necessarily that guy that I want another child. I'm good. You know, if they there, we living together good. You know, we good. All of a sudden, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I started suffering silently. That is the thing about fibroids. It is a silent suffering. And, you know, I speak about fibroids very freely, but it's the side effects of fibroids is not something that you want to speak about. You don't want to talk about the fact that you, again, look pregnant. You don't want to talk about the fact that you're bleeding the way you are. You know, you're constantly fatigued. You know, we women, we black women try to be so strong, so we try to stay as far away from that word lazy as we can, but you really can't drag yourself out of the type of fatigue that fibroids, that symptom can do to you. Back pain and just the mental of it, all of it just got to be so bad. So one day I ended up, my family has a charity, it's called Jose Feed the Hungry. Thank you. If you would like to contribute, it's forhosea.com. And I was at our grand opening. And so I'm sitting there, again, I started wearing all these peplums. That particular day I had a big old fur thing at the bottom, you know, but I had legs. So I was like, I'm gonna give you legs and right here, but you know, we couldn't do the waist. And I was sitting there and it was almost my time to speak. And Dr. Lipman walked up, and my aunt, she's just jolly and just like so full of personality, and when she loves you big. And she was just going on and on about Dr. Lipman and who he was to the community and all of this. And I was like, oh, wow, like that is so great. So then right before she brought him to the stage, and he donated over $200,000 to our family's charity in order for us to get the building that we were in to operate in. And I was like, wow, you know, what a sacrifice. This is money he had saved up. Anyway, I was like, that is such a sacrifice. What a great man. Didn't hear the part about him being a fibroid surgeon or at that specialist at that moment. I'm just like, wow, this is great. So he walks off, and I'm like, okay. So I believe he walked up to me, or I walked up to him to thank him for his contribution. And he gave me his card. I think it said Dr. Lipman. I can't remember how it happened, but anyway, at that moment, I saw he said he's a fibroid specialist, etc. And that something said, you know, I meet people all the time, right? But just something about, I said, I'm gonna call him. He mentioned Cynthia Bailey, and she had done something with him in the past, and I had remembered when she, you know, had her situation with it. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna call him. And I called him, and guys, I went to go for the consultation, and it happened so fast, scheduled the surgery, and I told him he literally took a list. Like, he just sat there, and I was able, you know, most doctors, they rush you through. You got a fibroid, I'm gonna zap it out, boom. No, he asked me, he really genuinely asked me each and everything I was suffering from. What are you going through? And for me to be able to, it was therapeutic to just be able to list those things out that I don't get to talk about to anybody. You know, we just kind of live our life through these fibroids. And he said, one by one, these are gonna be gone when you finish. And I was like, okay, I believe you. And so he did the surgery. Literally, guys, like, it's like it's literally nothing. Like where he went in, it just was enough for a needle. I actually have a bruise right here, bigger than that from my V, you know. So it was just a little bitty cut right here. Nothing, like my aftercare wasn't bad, took the little medication, it was great. So a couple weeks after that, he said, you're gonna be good. You let me know how this list starts checking off, like how you start crossing these things. And I went back to him, I believe it was like a month or so later. And I said, well, this is here, a little bit of bleeding is still there. And I'm sitting here today to tell you that I do not even remember half of the things on that list, because my life has completely changed. My quality of life, the way I think about myself, the confidence that I have is just profound in what the UFE, what it did for me. I mean, I was, you know, and being in the public eye, you know, she talks about being in the public eye. It can be brutal. You know, people are not kind. They're constantly asking you, are you pregnant? And if you say you're not pregnant, like, oh, well, you're fat or whatever. Me, I'm not one to necessarily care about those things, because after I had my daughter, listen, this body gonna give what it give. I gave a baby.
That's right.
I gave a baby, so I don't care what it's giving you, all right? But for someone to keep asking you, are you pregnant? That was the thing that I was like, okay, because that's the thing we suffer from with fertility. But afterwards, you know, I felt completely great. I'm here tonight because I want every single woman who is suffering to speak out, to lend their voice to the cause. If you haven't gotten checked, go get checked. If you need any type of treatment, go to Dr. Lipman and find it out. You know, it would seem like it's something brand new, but they mentioned it to me back then. But they said if you get UFE, you won't be able to have a baby. That's what they said. But that's not true. A lot of women have had children after UFE, have carried them themselves and all of that. So that's my story in a nutshell.
No,
I know we got more talking to do, but I just want y'all to know my story from beginning to the end.
That's right. Because can't nobody tell your story like you
me.
can tell your story.
My testimony.
No, there was so many good points in that. And just, you know, firstly, your age. Because I was 26 when I found out that I had him too. And so we're so young when, you know, some of us when, and you know, 26, like those are your like childbearing years,
Right.
you know, and you're finding out that something that can be so detrimental to that. And, you know, like you mentioned, Porsha, even from just a mental standpoint, you know, some of the trauma that is associated first with hearing, oh, I'm gonna tell you how my he wasn't even my doctor. I found out I had fibroids because I was having excruciating pain, so much to the point, 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I started to vomit. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was vomiting because of the pain. My girlfriend took me to the hospital. Once they checked me, the doctor said, you have ovarian cysts, and oh, by the way, you have fibroids. And he walked away.
Wow.
Well, what the hell is a fibroid, sir? And why am I? But it was poor bedside manner, and I had no idea what a fibroid was. I'm 26 years old. I'm in pain. You're telling me this, and then you walk away. You give me nothing. You don't educate me. You don't inform me. You just leave me. By the time I got to Dr. Lipman, I was 39 years old. So the math ain't mathing, okay? From 26 to 39, how many years that is? Who do math real good in here? Either way, that sounds like about 12, 15 years or something. My point is, how many? Come on, open bar, they smart. They doing your drinks and your numbers. But when you wait that long and you don't know what's wrong, it's detrimental. And so I want to open the panel to all of the ladies. Everybody has a microphone, right? No, yes, so?
We're gonna share.
We're gonna share, right? So I want to know, just, you know, very briefly, like any of the ladies, you know, for a question that jumps out at you, what were some of your significant symptoms, right, when you began to suffer from fibroids? Your significant symptoms when you started to notice something was going on? Anybody?
Extremely heavy bleeding.
Say it again.
Excruciating pain and heavy bleeding.
Heavy bleeding, excruciating pain. Okay.
Irregular period, like your cycle could last like 21 days. Just constant.
Oh, just constant, like a 3-week period.
No break, none at all. And then the time between each cycle shortens. So, you know, usually people will be, 28 days in between?
Normally,
Mine would be like 8. So 21 days, 8-day break, 21 more days, and it was over and over.
Sorry you had to go through that. It's awful. I would say mine, like the biggest, I don't know if it's a symptom, but the biggest way it's affected my life is having to have a C-section. And having to have a C-section is, after myomectomy, what I was told was rough because you have all the scar tissue, and then when you're going through the surgery for them to take out the baby, it's very difficult, and it's much, much higher risk. So, you know, possibly not being able to carry, or not being able to carry.
Or the method of delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The fear of it, you know, it's trauma that's involved when you go through something like that. So yeah, that I would say that's probably the
Wow,
everlasting
that's a
part.
big deal. Yeah. Any other
Yeah, I was bleeding longer. That's when I knew something wasn't right, because I went from like 3 days to 5, 6, almost a week. And then also my cramps were really, really bad. Like I didn't experience bad menstrual cramps growing up, and now I had abdominal cramps, my back was hurting, and I was just really tired, like fatigued a lot.
I co-sign with that. Yes, heavy fatigue, like you can barely go, or wanting to have kids and a doctor tells you you can't because of the fibroids, and so you kind of just give up, you just give up and move on,
Yeah, it's the aspect of quality of life.
Yeah.
It's the aspect of quality of life, because when Porsha was mentioning, like, people associate your fatigue rather with being lazy.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're lazy, it's just that you can't. You don't have, okay, let's talk about it. Y'all look like y'all got nice cars and stuff, right? A little Mercedes here, a little Bentley, a little something cute, a little Maserati or something. But guess what? If you don't put Shell or some BP, a little racetrack or somebody in the bad boy, guess what ain't gonna happen? It's not gonna run. So you're gonna think there's something wrong, but you haven't given the car what? Any fuel. And so these fibroids, they zap you and they siphon your energy to be able to be functioning, right? Even from a physical standpoint and even mentally as well. You get mental fog and you don't know what's really wrong with you, right? And so when you begin to seek treatment from your OB-GYN, what were some of your treatment options? What did they tell you were the options when you had fibroids and how to rectify it?
Well, my doctor, unfortunately, first he recommended a hysterectomy, and then I ended up saying, "Oh, I'm young, I don't want to go that route. Is there another alternative? Is there another way that we can remove them?" And then, like Porsha was saying, we both had the myomectomy, only to hear coming through surgery, you're looking up, and I asked my husband, how did it go? And he's like, they couldn't get it all. So you already know right there, you're back at square, the first square, like, oh my God, so I'm still having to deal with this. So I got to go through this again, or pray and hope that there's another solution.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I heard hysterectomy was absolutely the last thing that my OB-GYN told me, and she honestly said, that was only if I wanted to do that, but she didn't recommend it because she was like, you might still want to have kids. But she listed all of the other things first. So UFE was one of the options. Also, she was like, do you want to take a natural approach to it? There's some herbal medicines that you could possibly take. And then she also mentioned the myomectomy. Myomectomy. So she gave me a list. She gave me options. Very thankful for my OB-GYN. Black woman, yes.
My treatment was, the options that I was given was to myomectomy. There was one where they did it with like a robot. What was that one called?
There you go.
Laparoscopic.
You're so smart.
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed. Laparoscopic. What she said. And I believe an IFE was mentioned, but like again, it was given to me in a way that it would jeopardize my fertility. So I went with myomectomy because I had been going to my OB-GYN for a while, and she was like, I'm gonna do it with my hands, and I was like, I'd rather that than the robot. And so that's what I elected.
That was your. So for me, when they told me it was hysterectomy, because by the time they got to me, again, how old was I, y'all? 39. So I was approaching the age where, your good eggs is probably scrambled. It's kind of how they was telling me, So, I mean, it's up to you, but I mean, do you still want to have kids, you old maid? You know, and that's kind of how they, you know, they didn't say it quite like that, but I was like, oh, you calling me old lady? I'm only 39, dang. But that was kind of what, you know, the options were. And then they mentioned myomectomy, which I'm so glad that, in a sense, myomectomy was somewhat decent for you in a way. Because for me, when they told me myomectomy, and they told me what would happen, that they would be cutting on my uterus, that alone made me go, whoa, right? Like, you're cutting on my uterus, and then what? Like, what? I mean, what's gonna happen after that? And the disqualifier for me was, we'll do it, but they might come back. So I thought, you're gonna cut on me like a C-section, then you're gonna cut on my uterus, and them bad boys might come back. That ain't gonna work for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wear a waist trainer and see if prayer and some sit-ups is gonna help me, because I can't do a myomectomy, okay? So that's what I'm saying to you. I'm so glad that there was some relief for you, because I was like, because
Yeah, it's you know, there's relief in the myomectomy,
Yeah.
and there's a relief in any of these treatment plans. The reason why I'm here tonight is because we should not have to get to that
That's
place.
right, that's right.
We should be able to be treated for it earlier on.
That's right.
I'm sure there's some holistic ways for our makeup to help us with that process, or maybe, you know, if you catch them earlier on and you can get a couple of them, the aggressive ones out earlier on, then you may not have to have such an aggressive procedure like a myomectomy. So the beginning of even having to treat it so late in life, when I'm ready to have a baby, actually when I was pregnant, is not okay in our system. And it's not okay for us as women. We have to stand up, we have to take charge of our bodies and speak and advocate for ourselves.
Yeah.
And you really won't know unless we talk about it, the women who are in this room, because many people in my family have it. I almost kind of looked at them like,
why ain't nobody say nothing?
right, I actually want to name them right now, low key, like, yo, like, you had this and you had that and you didn't tell me. So this is why, you know, we have to take that veil away, take that shame away, and be like, yeah, these bellies come whatever kind of way, so don't judge no woman's body, period, okay? Because some of us got fibroids, some of us got other issues, some just damn bloated, some of us on a long period, whatever. We have to be bold about ourselves and our health care. In this healthcare system, we are dying. Our mortality rate when we are surrounded around pregnancy, period, is like a third world country. This is not even where you want to be giving birth, but this is where we are. So if that's the case, we have to strap up mentally and spiritually when we go into these doctors' offices, when we go to in these hospitals, take what we're learning here, share it with our sisters, so that they are armed with the armor of God, but also with knowledge and boldness to speak against anyone who says we're being extra, and let them know that we're doing this for ourselves and our kids.
That's right. I love that, Porsha. I love that. Because really, ultimately, what she's saying is we have to be our own advocates. We have to be our own advocates. We have to say, no, this is wrong. I don't want to do this. And to that end, you know, hysterectomy, as we've all talked about, was an option that we were all given. But here's the thing. Do we think hysterectomy is an extreme procedure for a benign tumor? It's not even malignant. So why are doctors having such a permanent solution to a benign tumor? Do we think hysterectomies are extreme? Anybody?
Absolutely extreme.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Partial hysterectomy, full hysterectomy. There is, I mean, I know we are definitely shouting out Dr. Lipman, but we need to duplicate him. Like, we need him everywhere. We need to, like, pack him out. I mean, sir, can you teach some classes to some other doctors? Because there is no reason to lose a part of your body. Let's just keep it simple.
That's right.
This man, literally, when I went into the doctor office not long ago, it was like a daggone video game, because they were like, we see this dark one here, we see this dark one there, and dark is what you want because they dead. So you could see how big they were, but they were now dead. They were no longer pulling from my body. You know, it's just a shame that us in this room, we're the ones who are just talking about this. People don't know about UFE. They're scared about it. We need to let them know that, yes, you can still have kids after it. And the procedure is like a day at the park, honestly. I mean, it really was nothing. You know, of course, like you said, who said they pushed it extra? You did. Yeah. Extra little weeks at work. Yeah, me too. Shoot. But it really wasn't nothing, y'all. We really should be making sure that our daughters and our cousins and our sisters and our mamas get it, because it really don't matter what age you are. Yeah. You could be very young, or you could be 50-something years old, like one of my family members, and still suffering from it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And so how do we, you know, as ladies who've experienced UFEs, right? And Porsha's just emphatic about making sure that we share this information, because she's right. The passion behind what she's saying is so true, because we need to share it. Because how has your quality of life changed since UFE? Because when we're talking about it, then we also need to share how much better we feel after the procedure. So how has your quality of life changed since then?
Well, mine is 100% better. Definitely less stress, and definitely more energy. That's where mine was really, I felt dead the entire time. Like I literally, you know, had no energy for my kid, my family. Like it was almost like I was there, but I was not, you know, physically. So for me, it's just to be able to just get back to just regular activities like walking, you know. Yeah. So just energy and overall, you know, stress-free for me.
Yeah. And so what would you say to somebody after? Like, what would you tell them? Like, what would your advice be?
As far as the procedure, or just?
Yeah, and like.
Oh, yeah. Get it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I hesitated at first because, you know, like as Porsha was stating, you know, I thought maybe I can't have kids, or it's gonna do something to my uterus. I actually went to the gynecologist that recommended I had the hysterectomy. She actually kicked me out of her office when I told her that I was going to get a UFE. She was like, oh, wow. You know, don't trust that procedure. You're going to end up, you know, you're going to mess up your uterus. You're going to this and that. You know, you really should consider the hysterectomy if you don't ever want to bleed again. And I'm like, well, that's a little extreme. And when I kind of, you know, just kind of stood up for what I believed in, she just basically told me to, you know, just get out and, you know, go do what you want to do. And yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a client who I introduced to Dr. Lipman to, and she went through the same thing. Her doctor wasn't even aware of the UFE. And so I was told that Dr. Lipman spoke with the doctor, thank God, they connected, and he said moving forward, he's going to share the UFE with his clients. So thank God you did the workshop in Fayetteville, Georgia, and invited me to be on the panel, and I invited my fitness clients, and she said, oh my God, thank you so much. She was able to get her iron up, her blood level up, so that she could have the procedure. Yeah. And when she went to do the myomectomy, it was all of 5 minutes. All of 5 minutes. Because they had dissolved after having the UFE, they just was able to scrape the rest out, and now she's able to move forward and have a, you know, her life back. Yeah. So yes, I shared that with Dr. Lipman's wife today. What a phenomenal testimony.
That is amazing.
But had she not attended that workshop, like Porsha was saying, if we don't share and we don't get the word out and silence the shame, you know what I mean? She would have ended up having maybe a hysterectomy or a partial. Because a lot of doctors are not aware of the UFE. That's crazy.
Yeah. Or
all these years, over 25 years.
Or let's really talk about it.
There's
money in a hysterectomy. Now let's
talk
really get down.
And some money, yes.
There's money in hysterectomy.
Money making business.
Now we ain't gonna go there, but we gonna go there.
And because they never shared with me either about the UFE.
Honey, it's a little coin in that hysterectomy. So, anybody else want to talk about like how their life's changed?
I would say, you know, when I know I mentioned earlier lazy, but let me give you some context. So my daughter is 3 years old, and anybody have a toddlers, period. They're very busy, okay? And any mommy, I don't care who you are, you don't gotta raise your hand, but we deal with mommy guilt. I don't know how that ascended upon us as much as we do in 24 hours, but mommy guilt is there. And when I really was at the peak of suffering from fibroids, it almost sent me in, I haven't, into like don't want to say depression because I've been depressed before. It was just a very low moment for me. And it was because I couldn't get up in the morning. Like she said, just like get up on time and have energy, or, you know, be with it mentally. You're so foggy, you're so out of it. And so then you're because after you suffer with fibroids for a while, it kind of just becomes a part of you. Yeah. So then you forget that that's an excuse, because again, you ain't told nobody. Right. So then the guilt comes to tell you, look at you, you ain't take her to the park today. Look at you, you know, you just went down there and made an oatmeal instead of some daggone eggs. You know, just all kind of stupid stuff, you know, look at you, you got her on the iPad because you want to take a nap. All kind of stuff, you know, but it's all not true, but that fatigue is so bad, but that it kind of started hitting over in my motherhood, and so, you know, it was very bad. But now, you know, look at me. I'm like a tampon commercial. Like, I'm up running around, you know, I got energy. I'm good now because, you know, if I want to do something, I have the energy to be able to do it naturally, not Red Bulls, not anything else. Like,
your God-given energy. Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. This is deep, y'all. And we have to do more about sharing our story. We have to be our sisters' keepers. Yes. Oftentimes, we don't want to get in nobody's business. I get it. Because we want folk to be like, she's so damn nosy. Because we will. But sometimes a little bit of nosiness is good, because you don't know if you've got the right amount of information that this person just might need to keep them alive. Just like the young lady on Jill was saying about the young lady, she had the information to help her sister out. And we sit on it. Like, why do we sit on it? So here's what we're gonna do, okay? All of us on stage, and all of us in the audience. I'm finna call you out, Miss Girl. You on this phone, Miss Honey? We're gonna tell her all good night together, and we're gonna hang up here. All right, 1, 2, 3, everybody say good night, baby. Good night, baby. All right, amen. Bye-bye. Okay, bye, sugar. Night-night, go to bed. So here's what we're gonna do. Okay? We're going to take a moment, and I want us to breathe in 3 times, right? All of us collectively. Ready? If you want to close your eyes, do that. But let's take this quick moment of a Selah, okay? Breathe in. Breathe out. It's okay. That's okay. Don't interrupt the moment. Be quiet. This ain't your time. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. We have to take time to remember us. We go, we help, we're busy, we work. And sometimes we forget about what's important for ourselves. And so sometimes we just have to take a beat, just a moment, just a second, to remember ourselves so that we can check in with our sister. She can check in with us. Be a little bit nosy. Sometimes nosiness, and I mean that in jest, right? But sometimes that can save somebody's life, right? That can keep somebody out of a dark space. Right? So let's begin to be mindful. Let's begin to be advocates, not only for ourselves, but for our sisters, so that we can begin to have the quality of life that our Father in heaven intended for us to have. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Y'all give all of our beautiful ladies a round of applause. Jill and Shay and Jenny, and of course the beautiful, oh so talented Miss Porsha Williams. Thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you very much. All right, so here's what we gonna do. I see Miss Ebony back there wanting to give out stuff. You know, we like people that's got stuff to give out. And so what we're gonna do is we've got some winners. She gave away a little something, something. So, see, y'all gonna get me in trouble because I don't know who gonna like what, but I'm gonna just call the first name that's on this card, and whoever come up, she gonna, no, let her pick it up. You ain't get me in trouble. So the first winner is Miss Tila Terry. Oh, come on, Miss Terry. Come on and get your little spirit. Girl, have you been drinking too much tonight? Stay with it now. Come on. Golden glass, sis. Yes. There you go, get your Porsha. Snap, snap, snap for the photo. Yeah, snap for the photo. What you want to say? What you got to say?
Ma'am, where did you get those things on your shoe?
Miss Tila, get this microphone back to Porsha.
No, seriously.
I'll talk to you later.
Those are mine.
I'm going to get him, I'm going to talk, I'm going to tell you.
Those are mine.
Tila, go and get after her. Go sit down, girl. All right, and then the second winner is, now listen, you have to work with me, and if it's wrong, charge it to my head, baby. Well, then she told you. Dr. DeQuisha, you are the, come on, Dr. D. I should have just said Dr. D. That'd have been all right. Go on and get your little drink, your little drinky drink from Ebony Wine and Spirits. We want to thank her again. We so appreciate you for coming. Did you all enjoy the drinks, honey? The libation, honey? The little sip, sip? And also, I know they're gone, but you all, Ryan Kilgore, just so wonderful. Oh, there he is. Just so wonderful. Ryan, thank you for being here with us tonight. And I'm going to bring Dr. Lipman up to kind of close us out and to just kind of give us some last remarks about, you know, where things stand. We also have an opportunity for everybody here to book a free consultation. So I want to make sure if you're questioning, if you've got a query, you're wondering about that, Dr. Lipman will provide that in his office with a free consultation for you to have a further conversation.
Thank you so much. Is there a better MC for an event ever? We did an event with Cool from Cool and the Gang, and she was the MC, and it's like, oh my gosh, if I ever do another event again, Joy is, I mean, she's on it. I mean, oh my gosh, that was so great. Wasn't that cool? That pretty cool? He's got his own champagne, by the way, called Lay Cool. If you haven't had it, I recommend it. It's awesome. Sorry, I digress. Thank you. It takes a lot of courage to come up and talk about such things in front of other people. So please, once again, thank you so much. It's so important. I mean, these things, as we've said a number of times tonight, the conversation has to increase. This is a prevalent condition. It runs strong through African American families, and families need to talk, moms to daughters, sisters to each other, communities. So please share this information, share on social media. We've got to stop doing these unnecessary hysterectomies. And when you go to a physician, go armed with questions. Bring somebody with you, that second person, to make sure, did I hear that right? Did they say hysterectomy? Did they say hysterectomy? Yeah, I think they said that. Have somebody with you, because when you all of a sudden, they say, you need a hysterectomy, it's like, you know, it's almost like the cancer diagnosis. It's like, after everything else, you don't even hear anything else after hysterectomy. And so bring somebody with you, take a notepad, have questions. This is a two-way street. And so you have certain concerns and questions, and if you're being dismissed, find another doctor. There are plenty of doctors in Atlanta. So they need to listen to you and spend the time with you. And if you're feeling like they're just not listening or they're dismissing you, bye-bye. Find another doctor. So I hope you found this helpful. Give yourselves a hand. And hopefully we'll do more of these, but as I say, we want to try to get this message out so that we don't even have to make sure everybody will know. And so if you're suffering with fibroids, UFE is a tremendous procedure. It gives you your life back without any surgery, and we just need to share that information. Thanks, I appreciate everyone's attendance and coming out tonight, and Joy and Ronnie and everyone else that had a part in this, the Ebony Wine and Spirits, Ryan Kilgore, thank you for doing this.
Thank you all so much. And before you go, we want you to continue to do some mix and mingling. But here's the thing, if you didn't take a picture, guess what? It didn't happen, right? We all know that. So whatever photos that you took tonight, make sure you hashtag our hashtags with the Atlanta Fibroid Center. And of course, don't lose your you. You are you. Don't lose your you. Our social media is Dr._Lipman. And of course, we've got informative videos on YouTube at the Atlanta Fibroid Center. My name is Joy Tribble. Thank you all so much for allowing me to escort you through this evening. It's been our pleasure. You all have a wonderful night, and thanks again, and thanks to our panel.